wonder if sometimes it stops you from going places is because you don't know where to go. What I tend to do is I love little towns. So I live on the coast, but I will go inland at times. I have relatives that live several hundred kilometres inland, almost on the edge of the desert, you might say. And I go out there, but every time I go a different way. Like, all roads lead to Narrabri, you might say. Hi, Uncle Dick, again. That's where Uncle Dick lives. So I do get out there every now and then, but when I go in I take a different route. Now, it's amazing how many ways you can get to the one place. It totally astounds me. And last time I went out there, I went a totally different way than I'd ever gone in 40 years. Isn't that amazing? I'm still finding new ways. And I found this magical little town, little country town, huge, big, wide streets, quiet, safe, friendly. And I spent a couple of days wandering around in that town. Well, probably 2 half days and an evening. Now there's so many different things you can do in these little places. Like, there's museums that'll tell you all about the local history of that area or of that town, how and why that town was founded, how it came to be there in the first place. A lot of them had massive boom days, back in the late 1800s or the early 1900s, maybe the early 1800s even. Imagine just crossing the Great Dividing Range and finding these magical places. I mean, wow, the explorers back in the day were like so brave. But yeah, so, when you go to these little towns, take the time, go and see what's there. Take a detour and go and specifically look at these little places. If you see a sign and you say, oh, I wonder what that's all about, go and have a look. Don't rush. Stop and smell the roses. And you will expand your mind no end. It's quite amazing. Now, you might not like little towns inland. You might like travelling up and down the coast, and that's the same. You can do the same thing. There's lots of little towns, just off on the east coast of Australia. We have a major motorway that runs almost the entire length of the country, like north to south. And but off, if you go even 5 minutes or 15 minutes off that motorway, you will find the most amazing little towns. And some of them have historic walks. Some of them will have little museums. Some will just have a quirky pub. Like, go and have a beer, have lunch, talk to the locals. Just expand your brain, like there's so much out there that you don't know exists. When I went to Narrabri last time, I was with a friend and we found this waterfall, and who would have thought there was a waterfall near Narrabri? Anyway, there was, and it was beautiful. We ended up I think we spent 2 nights there. We just camped up in the bush near the waterfall. It was quite a walk down, but it was just beautiful. And it was cold. It was I think it was coming on winter. From memory, that was last year. But yeah, I'll never forget that. Horton Falls, it was called. If you're heading out that way, it's beautiful. And then we got on this back road. A lot of it was dirt. And I was towing the caravan, actually, on that trip. And my caravan was by no means a four-wheel drive van, but you know, you just take it easy, and if the road gets too rough, you just turn around and go a different way. That's okay. But the road was quite good, um, and then we ended up, we sort of headed north from the waterfall and ended up at a place called Sawn Rocks, which I had been to before, and then that joins onto the Tar, which is quite a main road there. Um, but we stopped off there. My friend hadn't been there before, so we took the walk there, and yeah, and then just sidled our way into Narrabri. Most of these little towns also have showgrounds that you can stay at. Some have caravan parks, but I prefer the showgrounds. You end up with a lot more space. You can generally, there's no problem if you do have a dog or something like that. At the showgrounds, you've got to keep them on a leash generally, because there are horses about generally, or cattle. But yeah, all these little places are so interesting. So take the time to investigate, and yeah, your mind will be expanded immensely. And no matter where you are, you will find these things. You've just got to look for them. Just one more thing I would say about that type of exploration is always make sure that you know where you can get fuel. Try not to let your fuel get below half a tank unless you really know that there's a fuel stop along the way. So, you know, have a look at the maps a bit. When we were in this little town, before we went to the waterfall, we didn't know about the waterfall, so we didn't know that that's where we were going to be going. So I knew that I had to get fuel before I left that town, because the next town was going to be at Narrabri, which was a couple of 100 kilometres, I think, just from memory. May not have been that far, but there was a lot of nothing, back roads and whatnot, dirt. But properties along the way, lots and lots of big properties. So, you know, if you had broken down, there would be help within, you know, an hour or two walk. But yeah, just do that though. Just keep an eye on your fuel, just to be sure. Yeah. Okay. Stay safe, everybody, and yeah, do some exploring. You just might find out something about yourself that you didn't know before. All right. Bye. Do you like my backyard today? If it wasn't so cold, I'd go for a swim, but I may go for a paddle in a bit. Yeah. All right. Bye.